What is going on, YouTube world? Welcome back to a brand new video. And today, as you can see, we have the Google Pixel 9 Pro. What is my favorite device that has been released in the past couple of years. And also in terms of Google, my favorite Pixel ever released. Now, there are some consumers out there currently right now who's deciding whether or not they should get a Pixel 10 Pro, which is the updated model to this one, or this version of the phone. And the honest truth is you're not going to be missing too much versus getting either one of those, but you will be saving a couple $100 if you decide to stay with this one. The Google Pixel 9 Pro was the first model that had this design language here, which is pretty much iPhone-like, is what a lot of people say. Metal on the sides, it's like shiny and brushed, whatever. And then the camera hump. Now, the camera hump is definitely different. That's not iPhone at all, but in terms of a design standpoint, it did put it on the map. It did make it stand out from other devices, which is a key thing, in my opinion, when it comes to flagships. One thing about these Pixel phones that you cannot take away from it is how beautiful these displays are. You're going to have a 6.3-inch 1280 by 2856 pixel Dixnity. So basically full HD plus with this device. That's 120 hertz refresh rate. Also HDR10 compatible. Has a max brightness of 3000 nits. Now listen when I tell you, Google is not lying about that brightness. This thing gets bright. And that's not even using adaptive brightness mode. I'm talking about bright with just sliding your finger across the brightness slider. So for example, if I just max it out right now, it probably isn't translating that well on video, but trust me when I say this thing gets bright. Another major thing is obviously the fact that it's a Pixel phone. So when it comes to Pixel phone, one thing that is pretty much a known thing when it comes to these devices is the cameras. Now, the cameras on these devices are amazing. Okay, nothing short of amazing. You're gonna have a triple camera setup. It's gonna be a 48 megapixel ultra wide, a 50 megapixel wide, and a 48 megapixel telephoto lens. If you ever needed a device that takes amazing photos, no matter what the scenario is, this is definitely the one to get. Okay, this is no question. Phones are a lot closer these days than they have been in the past, but when it comes to photos on a camera, Google has it on lock. There's no comparison when it comes to overall processing after the fact. It's an amazing camera system. Now, as far as video, you're gonna have the capability of recording in 8K. You have 4K 60 frames per second. I can give you an example of what it looks like here. So you just press the video icon and go into 4K. You can see full HD, 4K, 8K, 24, 30, or 60. If you go to 8K, you're only gonna be like that 30. There's no 60 for 8K just yet, but beautiful camera system. And the front, we can switch around here. You have a 42 megapixel selfie camera system. So as you guys can see, the quality looks amazing on this device, like absolutely amazing. I think it looks pretty good. And then on top of that, as far as video, you have the capability of 4K in the front as well. So nonetheless, a flagship camera with flagship features, that is not going to be a question when it comes to this device. Now, one of the controversial things that a lot of hardcore users don't like about the Pixel is the fact of what's powering the phone. A lot of people aren't a fan of the Google processor, which is the Tensor G4, which was at this time the latest and greatest processor from Google. They compare it to other flagship processors, and those things pretty much mop the floor with this phone. As far as overall performance, like raw horsepower, it just mops the floor. It's not close at all. And a lot of people do not like that. They want the raw power that the Snapdragons allow, or the MediaTek 9500 pluses, whatever the case may be. They want that raw power. And the fact that the Pixel didn't have that is what turned a lot of people off to that. But let me tell you something here. Everything is relative. You have to get the Pixel, in my opinion, and use it for yourself and understand that it is a flagship phone with the way it processes things. Look at this. It's just amazing. Anything you want to do, everything is snappy. It gets right to it. Like, it's not an issue. Overall performance, like actual use, real world use, you're not gonna have a complaint about that. You're not gonna have a problem with it. This thing never lags. It's amazing. Now, with the Tensor G4 that's in this device, it is paired up with 16 gigs of RAM. And so that does help things as well. 16 gigs of RAM. Okay, so stutteriness and things of that nature is just not going to be a problem with this device. As far as the battery in this phone here, it is a Pixel 9 Pro. It doesn't have this biggest battery as the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but it is a 47 milliamp hour battery. So as far as, screen on time and things of that nature, you're not going to have an issue here. And I can argue that you can definitely get at least 6 to 7 hours of screen on time. But one thing too is that you can adjust the resolution of the device here. So I currently have it on max resolution. And so if you decide to, you can switch it down to 960 by 2142. And so that's going to allow you to have a little bit more battery life out of the device if you choose to. Capabilities of charging with this device, you're looking at 27 watt wired and 21 watt wireless. So not the fastest thing in the world when it comes to charging speeds. And keep in mind that if you want to get that charging speed, from my experience, you have to get the Google AC adapter from the Google store. So that sucks. That is one thing that is negative about this device, but you do have the option if you choose to go that route. Another major thing and benefit is the fact that, yes, you do still have all those updates coming in the future. When this device was first released, Google promised 7 years of major Android updates. Now, I currently run an Android 16, and let me tell you something, man. Android 16, this experience UI or whatever it's called, butter. Okay, 6 years. All right, and it's coming directly from Google. So you can expect that optimization and performance will always be stable and work really well. But another thing to keep in mind too, and this is very important, the 21 watt wireless charging only is compatible with the Pixel stand. If you don't use the Pixel stand, that is brought down to 12 watts wireless charging. So typically you get about 15 with average flagships here these days, depending on whether or not it's coming from certain brands. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. As I was saying earlier with the Tensor G5, I want to show you, or G4, excuse me, I want to show you what the performance looks like on paper. So single core score comes in at 1968 and multi-core score is 4611. So when it comes to performance and you compare it to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 of last year, significant difference. And then the same thing with a 2.2 benchmark. Let's go to that real quick and show you what those numbers look like. Now, I literally just ran these tests a couple of minutes ago. So yeah, 1,200,531. It's not like this phone is super slow. It's just in comparison to other phones, it just makes it look, like it's an underperformer in terms of not worth the money you spend. Use the phone yourself. Get an experience with the Pixel. Get an experience with the device, and then tell me you don't think this is a flagship phone. Because in my opinion, it's definitely one of the phones that's a flagship and one of the best ones that came out last year. So those are some of the things that I think you should consider when it comes to the Pixel 9 Pro and why you may want to go with this one as opposed to the Pixel 10. But in the comment section below, let me know, do you currently have a Pixel 9 and are you using Android 16 and what has your experience been like? And do you think it's a good idea to go with this one as opposed to the 10? I think so. But like the video, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to share with your family and friends. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.